The morning light filtered through the window of Chez Gourmet, casting a warm glow over the bustling kitchen. Amid the clattering of pots and the sizzling of skillets, a simple carton of eggs rested on the counter. To the untrained eye, they were just ordinary eggs. But inside each delicate shell lay a soul with dreams, fears, and an unbreakable will to survive. Today's special is Eggs Benedict. Boom Chef Pierre, the stern head chef known for his precision. We'll need at least a dozen eggs, maybe more. The eggs trembled in their carton, their glossy shells shivering in fear. The kitchen was their battlefield, and they were the unwitting soldiers drafted into a culinary war. Benny, the bravest of the bunch, had always been different. While others accepted their fate as breakfast ingredients, Benny dreamed of freedom. "We can't let them crack us without a fight," he whispered, his voice firm. Yolanda, the artistic egg, rolled her shell toward him. "But how, Benny? We're eggs. One wrong move, and we're omelets." Greg, the logical egg, sighed. "The probability of survival is less than 5%. Escaping this kitchen is practically impossible." Benny glared at Greg. "Practically isn't the same as impossible. We'll find a way. We owe it to Freddie." The mention of Freddie, their fallen comrade whisked away earlier that morning, brought a hush over the group. As the kitchen staff prepared for the dinner rush, the eggs huddled together, whispering plans. Benny proposed an escape route, a leap from the counter to the pantry door, then a roll toward the fridge, where they could hide among the vegetables. "But the gap is too wide," Greg protested. "We need a launch mechanism." Yolanda suddenly brightened. "The ladle," she exclaimed. "If we can tip it onto the cutting board, it'll work like a catapult." As the sous chef turned his back, Benny led the group in a daring operation. Yolanda smeared butter on the counter to create a slick surface, while Greg calculated the perfect angle for the ladle's launch. "Ready, everyone?" Benny asked. "Ready," Yolanda and Greg replied, their shells gleaming with determination. With a loud clang, the ladle tipped over, creating the perfect ramp. Benny went first, positioning himself carefully on the ladle. With a deep breath, he rolled forward and launched into the air, landing safely on the pantry door handle. "Success!" he called down. Yolanda followed, her artistic flair on full display as she twirled midair. Greg hesitated, muttering calculations under his breath, but eventually launched himself with a yelp. From their perch on the pantry door, they had a clear view of the kitchen floor, a chaotic maze of spilled flour, rolling pins, and scuttling cleaning robots. As the eggs prepared to descend, disaster struck. The head chef returned, his sharp eyes scanning the kitchen. "Where's that carton of eggs?" he muttered. The eggs froze. Benny gestured silently to Yolanda, who quickly rolled toward a bag of flour. Using her weight, she toppled it over, creating a cloud of white powder that filled the air. "Cough! What in the world?" Chef Pierre exclaimed, stumbling blindly through the haze. Taking advantage of the chaos, the egg slid down the pantry door and rolled toward the fridge. The fridge was their sanctuary, a chilly haven filled with vegetables, cheese, and bottles of milk. The eggs nestled among a basket of tomatoes, their shells blending in with the red hues. "For now, we're safe," Benny said, though his voice carried an edge of worrying. "What's the plan, Benny?" Yolanda asked. Before Benny could answer, the door creaked open. A young kitchen assistant reached inside, grabbing a tomato. His hand hovered over the eggs, but a stray piece of lettuce fell and distracted him. The door shut, and the eggs exhaled in relief. Hours passed, and the eggs began to plan their next move. They couldn't stay in the fridge forever. The staff would eventually find them. "We need to sabotage the kitchen," Benny declared. "If we make enough of a mess, they'll have to shut it down." Greg nodded reluctantly. "It's risky, but it could work." The eggs hatched a plan to topple a tray of butter onto the floor, spill a jar of honey near the cutting board, and release a bag of coffee beans to create a rolling minefield. At midnight, the eggs began their operation. Benny and Yolanda worked together to push the butter tray off the counter, creating a slippery disaster zone. Greg, using his precise calculations, rolled toward the honey jar and nudged it off its shelf. When the morning shift arrived, the kitchen was in complete disarray. "What happened here?" Chef Pierre bellowed. The staff scrambled to clean up the mess, but every step they took led to another mishap. The sous chef slipped on the butter, colliding with the coffee bean bag, which spilled its contents across the floor. In the chaos, the eggs made their final move. Benny led the group toward the back door, which had been propped open for ventilation. Rolling as fast as their shells could manage, they crossed the threshold into the alleyway outside. The fresh air filled their shells with hope. They had done it. They were free. "Where to now?" Yolanda asked. Benny smiled. "Anywhere but here." The eggs rolled off into the sunrise, ready to start a new chapter of their lives. In the days that followed, the kitchen staff at Chez Gourmet told stories of the mysterious Egg Rebellion. The legend of the Great Escape spread far and wide, inspiring eggs in kitchens everywhere to dream of freedom. As for Benny, Yolanda, and Greg, they found a peaceful home in a community garden, where they could live out their days far from the sizzling threat of the frying pan. The tale of their courage became a symbol of hope for all who felt small and fragile in a world that often seemed too big.